Hey guys, Dylan Tommy here, hanging out in the green room. It's been a while since I posted an update video, and I've made some changes in these systems, and I'd like to cruise through and we'll check out the tanks. Right away we'll start with the 55. This system is always in full effect now, with the lush carpeting and all the greenage. And the updates in here is I actually removed several fish, and still plan to add the guppy colony. Add the fancy tail males and really stock this tank out with a lot of vibrant, colorful male guppy. And if I can catch some, I have some larger males in the water column swimming now. And I removed several of the Danios, removed a couple tetras, and added a lot of these subadult male guppies. And if they weren't feeding off the top of the water column, you can really see some great vibrant colors in these fish. Really cool to stock this 55 out with some fancy guppies, and that's my plan, if you guys remember from the last video. The scape, still looking the same. Haven't done much of a trimming in a while. It could probably use it, but it's really growing out nice and healthy, and removing a lot of those tetras, a lot of those larger zebras, opened up a little bit of bio load to add some of these fancy tails, and the system is thriving. I told you I've been really impressed with the colors in these male guppies. The breeding projects continue. You guys know that I have 3 different tanks that I have designated to grow out these males. And if we take a look in this system, lots of young juvenile fish swimming in the water column. I just fed the tanks, so they're all up feeding off the surface. This has been the tank that I've been adding the most juvenile fry from the other systems, just because I noticed they do fairly well and grow out fairly quick in this system, and it's been very easy for me to kind of transport them up here. I haven't been waiting until they're, you know, completely adults to add them to this system. What I'll do is put them in the large 55, and they'll seek refuge in all the dense vegetation down here, and grow up much more rapidly. I noticed that their finnage and their color patterns and their size seems to really grow exponentially as soon as they enter the 55 gallon. So as soon as I can, I try to get these colorful males up into the 55 because they're really looking great. And like I said, if they weren't all feeding off the water column, off the surface here, you would see them swimming in the water column. They're really cool fish. And they're all from my breeding projects, which is another aspect to the keep, and I really appreciate and I really enjoy. We'll check out the other guppy holding tank down here. And I think I had mentioned that this is kind of a breeding colony in itself. I do have several large females in here, and the large male is the patriarch. I think I had mentioned that before. This was the first male guppy I, had decided to keep and start this breeding project, and he's the father of many of the other fish you see in this fish room. And I put him in this tank to kind of spend his old age and really grow out and kind of give him a break from his breeding and just hang out with the young fry. But these females that I have in here, he continues to breed with, so his line continues, and his color pattern and his finnage will continue in some of these other fish. But the tank's looking great. A lot of the systems are looking really good, and the fish very healthy too. Many young fry in this tank too. For the last several weeks, I haven't been removing a lot of the fry from my breeding colony. This tank here with the large females and the males, and I recently did. So there's very few fry left in this tank. And the update in this tank is I cleared out many things. I cleared out a lot of the vegetation. If you remember what this tank used to look like, it had a carpet of the baby tears right here in front where you see all this rock work and all this Java moss. And what it was doing was creating this hide for a lot of the young fry. And it was hard for me to see them. I wasn't able to tell how many were in the tank, and it was difficult for me to pull a lot of the young fry out and move them into the grow out tanks. So what I did was I just pulled out a lot of that carpet, and what you see here is left. These rocks covered with Java moss are what was growing underneath all the thick vegetation of the baby tears. You see there's still a little left here and a little left in this corner here. But I had removed it basically from the entire front of this tank, and it's just making it a lot easier for me to see the younger generation. And this tank now has many females in here. There must be almost 20 females in this tank, and they're mature, they're of breeding age, and still just the 2 males. This guy, here's the large female here. She produces many fry. I like to keep that blue pattern in there. A lot of them have a lot of red, and the blue is a color that's in short supply in here. And many redfish, dark variations and darker patterns. So to keep the blue is a trait I'd like to see in the fish. Another thing to update is the Crenates tank. I really pulled a lot of stuff out of here, and not just vegetation. I pulled all the large albino Crenates. There were 7 or 8 of them spread out between 2 different tanks, and sent them off to another hobbyist, a great couple, local couple, that came and picked them up. Really cool couple, had a good time talking to them the day they came and took the Crenates, and sent them off with a lot of plants from the fish room along with the albinos. And they escaped their own tank out, and those Crenates are now living in a new home, in a much larger tank, in a really cool system. And I would have likely removed all their Crenates in this tank at the time when they came and took them, but I had noticed that this pair has a fresh new spawn and a couple of little fry with her swimming around. So I didn't want to remove the mother, and the male is in here too. He seems to be hiding right now, but he is probably the largest of the albino Crenates I've ever kept. He is a really massive male. And they're the only 2 fish left in the tank, besides some of the dwarf fish, some of the mutated fish that I refuse to cull. So they live out kind of stunted and dwarf in the fish room until I make a decision. These guys are tiny and not likely to grow to full size just because of their deformities. This guy kind of has a mouth that's not completely formed, and he takes a lot of shit from this female who protects the young fish she keeps with her. But that's what's going on with the Crenates. I would have likely moved them all and rid the fish room of the albinos, but she spawned again, and decided to keep the pair around just for the time being, and we'll see what happens with the fry that they have in their care. Not to mention, this guy just looks so awesome. Such a beautiful specimen, that male there. And I wish he would come out. But there's the Crenates update, guys. I like to keep cruising. You come back down here. As I said, a lot of these fish are just feeding now, so they're on the surface. And a lot of these young guppies have great potential, you know, for color pattern and size and finish to end up in this 55. Like I said, I kind of have been taking the best of the best, all the beautiful males, and adding them to here. A quick look at the Vivarium. The coolest update in this tank is check out all the growth of this terrestrial baby tears, this Hermanthias that has just carpeted out this entire system. The best growth I've had in these systems have been with aquatic plants that have turned immersed. For instance, this plant right here, this is a piece of the Wikia that has converted to its terrestrial form. And it's just growing out. Look, 3 different stems off of it. And the system's great. I really enjoy the look of this little Viv. And still nothing lives in there. It's just kind of a scaped out habitat with no life. But I still enjoy caring for it. It's a pretty cool system to keep nice and green like that. And I guess we'll duck into the Brichardi tank. This colony's thriving. The largest it's ever been. I'd like to guesstimate there's likely over 100 fish in here. And it continues to grow. The Julies really enjoy the Julia chromis nowadays. They're such beautiful fish, and they're really the largest fish in this tank. Really beautiful fish. The large Brichardi, the pair, the matriarch and patriarch, the first 2 fish to spawn and create this colony, are no longer in the system. They've lived their age out, and they've passed on. And they've kind of passed the rings on to the next generation, which is this female right here, who's probably not even a year old, maybe just over a year old. And she's doing her own spawning, and I'm not quite sure who the male is, but there's several adult males in this tank, both up here in the water column, and now that I'm filming the tank, buried in the shells. It's often hard to get a good count of these fish and their size, just because they spend a lot of time in the shells and in the deep rock work, and there's just so many of them. Alright guys, that's the Brichardi colony. I appreciate you hanging out with me here in the green room. I plan to upload a video of the paludarium. Here's a little sneak peek. But the last time I showed it, I told you that I plan to do a lot of trimming and rescaping, and really clean that system up, so I'd like to save it for its own video. It's the one system in here that gets the most comments and the most questions, and I'd like to share what's going on in that system with you guys very soon. So stay tuned. I appreciate you guys hanging out. You guys have a good one. Tank on.